Creating a lesson that really truly works, it's not some kind of magic trick. It's not just a random spark of genius. It's actually a process, a very deliberate and structured one. So, let's dive into what that looks like.
I mean, think about it for a second. What's the best app you've ever used to learn something? Or maybe that one YouTube video that just made a really tough concept suddenly click. It could even be something as simple as a deck of flashcards that finally helped you nail a new language. Why did it work so well? Well, here's the secret. It wasn't an accident. Behind almost every single one of those amazing learning tools, there's a plan, a blueprint. Because without one, you're just guessing, and that can waste a whole lot of time. A good blueprint makes sure that the learning is targeted, it's effective, and it has a name. And that secret recipe is called the ADDIE model. It's this really powerful framework that pretty much all instructional designers and educators use to build effective and, genuinely engaging learning experiences from the ground up.
So ADDIE is actually an acronym, and it stands for these 5 stages: analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluation. See how that works? Each step builds right on top of the last one, giving you this super clear path from just an idea to a fully finished lesson.
Now, to make this really easy to understand, we're going to use an analogy. So forget about lessons and classrooms for just a minute. Instead, imagine you're planning the most epic party anyone has ever been to.
The first 2 steps of any great party and any great lesson are all about the planning stage. This is where you lay all the groundwork for success. This is your analysis and your design.
Okay, now look how perfectly these 2 things line up. In the analysis phase, you got to know your students. For a party, you'd want to know your guests, right? Who are they? What kind of music do they like? Same idea. For students, you ask, what do they already know? What are their needs? Then comes design. For the party, you pick a theme. You plan the food. For a lesson, you decide your learning objectives. What's the end goal here? And you pick the right media to make it happen.
And this brings us to a really crucial point: relevance. You wouldn't plan a karaoke party with death metal music for your grandma's 80th birthday, would you? Of course not. In the exact same way, the videos, the apps, or the podcasts you choose have to match what you want your students to learn, and they have to be at the right level for them.
All right, the plan is set. You know your guests, you've got your theme. Now it's time to actually make the magic happen. Let's talk about bringing the lesson and the party to life.
So the development phase is where you get your hands dirty. It's all about creation. This is where your design blueprint becomes real. You're literally building the materials your students are going to use.
And think of these materials as the party favors or the activities. For, say, an English lesson, you could be making vocabulary flashcards or finding a great video for listening practice. Maybe you're building a little quiz on an interactive app, or even recording a short podcast to explain a tricky grammar rule. This is the fun stuff.
And then it's showtime. Implementation is when the party starts. The decorations are up, the music is on. This is the moment you actually deliver the lesson. You're sharing the videos, handing out the flashcards, guiding your students through that app. The learning is officially happening.
But hey, the job isn't over just because the party's winding down. The last step, and you could argue it's the most important one, is figuring out if it was all a success. It is time for evaluation.
So how do you know? How can you really tell if your guests or your students had a good time and actually got something meaningful out of the whole experience?
You evaluate, you ask them, you watch them, you look for feedback. For a lesson, this means checking to see if the students actually learned what you wanted them to learn. Did they hit those objectives you set way back in the design phase? A quick quiz, a hands-on task, even just a simple conversation can tell you if that knowledge actually stuck.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? The entire point of the ADDIE model is to make sure everything is perfectly aligned, from who your students are all the way to checking if they learned. That alignment, that's the secret sauce to making learning truly effective.
So there you go. Analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluation. It's a simple, powerful recipe for creating amazing learning. The only question left is, now that you have it, what will you create?